A new federal grant is addressing housing needs for human trafficking victims working to get back on their feet. The grant will bring in $600,000 in funding. News 9's Angelicia Bruton has more on the state's plans to provide the service.
Officials working with human trafficking victims say human trafficking can happen anywhere at any time, and it's an issue they've been tackling for years. They're hoping a new grant will help them support victims.
You hear people talk about human trafficking being mostly in our big urban areas, and you'll always hear people say I-44 and I-35 and I-40. But the thing is, every state says that about their highway intersections.
Lauren Garter with Zero Suicide and Trauma Care says there's so many different types of human trafficking, and every victim will not necessarily have the same experience. In many cases, victims are trafficked for sex, and a big issue she's noticed in rural communities is for labor.
You can see it in housing and in-home servitude, where people may be purchased in order to provide services within someone's home, but mostly related to agriculture.
There are several organizations working to bring a stop to this. The Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services recently received a grant to help combat this issue. Garter says this grant for $600,000 will just heighten their efforts to help victims transition out of that environment.
It will primarily offer housing to victims of trafficking in rural areas. We have service providers in the state that are in our two urban areas, but there's just a dearth of housing opportunity for clients elsewhere. And of course, we have services all across the state, but services are a big barrier for access if you don't have housing.
The grant is initiating the state's Rise Above project, which will partner with a local nonprofit. The grant will address physical, social, and emotional needs. This is a 3-year grant. $200,000 will go towards the project each year. Angelicia Bruton, Oklahoma's Own, News 9.